When you think about what it takes to protect a nation, project power globally, what really comes to mind? Is it just the latest stealth fighters? Or is there maybe a deeper network, logistics, intelligence, even, surprising human stories behind it all?
Well, today, our deep dive takes us to a really unique place. Joint Base Langley Eustis, JBLE they call it,
Mm-hmm.
and also the wider network of strategic federal and military sites all across Virginia's Hampton Roads region.
Okay.
This isn't just like a few bases scattered around.
Yeah.
It's a truly integrated powerhouse, really critical to national security.
So our mission for you, our listener, is to kind of peel back those layers. We'll dig into the history, the cutting-edge technology, and just the sheer human ingenuity that makes this region such a vital keystone for global operations.
Yeah.
You'll see why this area, which seems quite concentrated, actually has a reach that stretches right across the globe. Hopefully some real aha moments for you. Okay, let's unpack this. So JBLE, as you said it's known, it actually came about as one of 12 joint bases. That was under the 2005 Base Realignment and Closure Mandate, the BRSC process.
Right, BREC.
It officially stood up January 29, 2010. Seems like a pretty unique setup for the Department of Defense.
Oh, absolutely.
Huh.
It is. JBLE strategically combines two places that are geographically separate, but operationally, they're unified.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Langley Air Force Base in Hampton
Okay.
and Fort Eustis over in Newport News. Now, they're not side by side, but they operate under a single command structure. And that's incredibly powerful for, streamlining joint force operations.
So it forces a different kind of thinking, maybe?
Exactly. This kind of dual service integration, it's not just putting people near each other. It really fosters this unique cross-domain approach right from the strategic level. Thinking about future fights where air and ground are totally linked from the get-go, it's a real differentiator.
And speaking of Langley Air Force Base, I mean, it holds this incredible distinction, doesn't it? The oldest continuously active military airfield in the world, established way back, December 30th, 1916. What's a historical moment there that really shows its importance?
Well, its longevity is just extraordinary. And it was named after Samuel Pierpont Langley. He was a physicist and astronomer. His own manned aircraft experiments didn't quite succeed, but his work laid crucial groundwork for flight.
Right.
Langley Field, it just became this hotbed of innovation right away. During World War I, it was training Army aviators, mechanics, and here's something really pivotal from its early days. Airships. They did a lot of work with airships.
Okay.
Yeah, but in 1922, there was a terrible tragedy. The USS Roma, the largest semi-rigid airship at the time, it crashed, killed 34 crew members.
Wow.
And that disaster is a real game changer. It actually prompted the U.S. military to switch entirely from hydrogen, which is flammable, to non-flammable helium in all its airships. A huge safety shift.
So a tragedy, but it spurred a vital innovation. And that wasn't the only groundbreaking thing happening there early on.
No, not at all. Just a year earlier, 1921, also from Langley, Brigadier General Billy Mitchell, he conducted this really famous demonstration. Bombers, launched from Langley, successfully sank a captured German battleship, the SMS Ostfriesland.
Sank a battleship
Yeah.
from the air.
Exactly. This wasn't just, a show. It decisively proved that air power could defeat major naval ships. And that fundamentally shifted strategic thinking between the wars. It really raised big questions about the future of naval power and highlighted this new domain, air power.
And that legacy, thinking ahead, it clearly continues. Langley's been used continuously, from those biplanes and balloons right up to today's stealth fighters. It really is America's premier power projection platform on the eastern seaboard.
Absolutely. And bringing it to the modern day, Air Combat Command, or ACC, its headquarters, is right there at Langley Air Force Base. That makes Langley one of the most strategically vital major commands in the entire Air Force.
ACC HQ.
Yeah. Since June 1st, 1992, ACC's job has been organizing, training, equipping, basically sustaining combat-ready forces for rapid global deployment. Think about the scale. ACC oversees more than 156,000 personnel.
Wow.
And over 1,300 aircraft spread across 242 locations worldwide.
Wow.
From Langley, ACC commands this really formidable lineup of aircraft. You've got the cutting-edge stealth fighters, the F-22 Raptor, the F-35A Lightning II.
Right, the fifth gen stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the heavy hitters, the long-range bombers like the B-1, the B-2, the B-52, they ensure, a decisive edge anywhere in the world.
And Langley's location itself must be a huge advantage for ACC. Being so close to Naval Station Norfolk, Fort Eustis, even NATO isn't far. That allows for seamless coordination, right? Joint ops, allied ops.
Precisely. That proximity is key for joint and allied integration. It really is a central hub.
Okay, so you've got this huge command structure, all these planes, someone has to keep the lights on, fix the runways, run the hospital, right? That sounds like the job of the 633rd Air Base Wing. Crossbow Nation, is that their nickname?
That's them. Activated January 7, 2010, the 633rd Air Base Wing, or ABW, is the host wing for JDLE. And yeah, they basically run this entire city-sized military community. It's huge.
How many people are we talking about?
They provide full spectrum installation support. That's for over 60 different mission partners on base, plus a total population of over 128,000 people. That includes active duty, guard, reserve, DOD, civilians, families, retirees.
Wow, 128,000.
Yeah. And they handle everything: infrastructure, engineering, logistics, comms, emergency management, security, contracting, HR, even operating the USAF Hospital Langley, which provides care for over 50,000 beneficiaries.
So where does the Crossbow Nation name come from? That sounds interesting.
It's a really compelling story, actually. It goes back to the 633rd Combat Support Group in Vietnam back in 1966. These airmen, beyond their official duties, they started providing humanitarian aid to local Montagnard communities.
Okay.
And these communities, as a gesture of gratitude, gifted them handcrafted crossbows. It was this unique bond.
So a gift became their symbol.
Pretty much. The crossbow insignia was later formally adopted, and it carries this deep strategic meaning, drawing on Sun Tzu's Art of War. A fully drawn crossbow represents latent power prepared for action,
Okay.
and releasing the trigger symbolizes the disciplined and precise application of force. So for the 633rd, it perfectly represents their dual mission: constant, day-to-day support combined with the ability to surge and respond rapidly in a crisis.
Latent power and precise application. I like that. Okay, so with that huge support structure humming along, let's talk about the pointy end of the spear. The first fighter wing, their legacy goes back even further, right?
Oh yeah. The first fighter wing is a cornerstone of American air superiority. It's the oldest active fighter wing in the United States Air Force. Its heritage traces all the way back to the 1st Pursuit Group in World War I, 1918.
Oldest active fighter wing. And they've stayed at the cutting edge.
Consistently. They were the first wing to fly the F-15 Eagle back in the 70s. And then, really significantly, in 2005, they were the first operational wing to receive the F-22 Raptor, always leading with new technology.
So how does that history and that cutting edge tech translate into what they can do today in, today's world?
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. Take Operation Midnight Hammer, June 2025. F-22 Raptors from the 1st Fighter Wing played a crucial role escorting B-2 Spirit bombers during strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities.
Escorting B-2s on that kind of mission.
Exactly. The F-22s went in first, preemptively targeting Iranian air defenses, clearing the way, securing air corridors through hostile airspace. It was part of one of the longest-range stealth combat missions in U.S. history.
And the F-22 itself, that's the key enabler there, right?
Absolutely. The F-22 Raptor, it's an unmatched 5th-generation stealth fighter. It combines stealth, incredible speed, maneuverability, and really advanced integrated avionics. It guarantees air dominance.
And the specific squadrons in the first.
You've got the 27th Fighter Squadron, the Fighting Eagles, and the 94th Fighter Squadron, the Hat in the Ring Squadron, famous because of Captain Eddie Rickenbacker in World War I. There's also the 71st Fighter Squadron, which focuses on F-22 training, and the 7th Fighter Training Squadron, providing adversary air support, basically playing the bad guys in training exercises.
And didn't the first fighter wing also have a significant role on 9/11?
They did. Their S-15s, based at Langley, were among the very first fighter aircraft launched to defend American airspace on September 11, 2001.
Yeah.
That legacy of readiness, of decisive action, it really continues to define their mission today.
Okay, so fighters are crucial, but modern warfare is so much about information, intelligence. Langley's big in that area too, right? Intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, ISR.
Hugely important. And Langley hosts some key ISR units.
Let's start with the 480th ISR wing. What's their role?
The 480th, headquartered right there at Langley, is the Air Force's lead wing for what's called distributed intelligence operations. They deliver real-time intelligence, 247. And crucially, they manage the Air Force Distributed Common Ground System, or AFDCGS.
AFDCGS sounds complex.
Think of it as the Air Force's global intelligence network. It connects sensors like drones and spy planes with analysts all over the world. Langley hosts DCGS East, one of 5 major sites globally.
So what happens at DCGS East?
It's a round-the-clock operation. They process huge amounts of data, video, radar, signals intelligence coming in from platforms like the U-2 Dragon Lady, the MQ-9 Reaper drone, the RQ-4 Global Hawk.
Okay.
This is the heart of the Air Force's PED mission processing, exploitation, and dissemination, basically taking all that raw surveillance data and turning it into actionable intelligence that commanders can use now for precise effects.
And they have specialized squadrons doing this.
They do. At Langley, the 10th Intelligence Squadron handles real-time video and signals intelligence. The 30th Intelligence Squadron fuses different kinds of intel for global operations and strategic planning. And the 45th Intelligence Squadron focuses on developing new digital ISR tools, keeping the tech edge.
Then there's another ISR wing, the 363rd, established more recently, 2015, I think. How are they different?
Right, the 363rd ISR wing, they're specialized. Their focus is on precision targeting intelligence, threat warning, and working directly with combat forces and special operations.
Precision targeting sounds critical.
It really is. What's fascinating here is how they translate incredibly complex data into very focused intelligence products. This enhances the accuracy of strikes, improves aircrew survivability, and crucially, helps ensure everything is done legally within the laws of war.
So making sure strikes are precise and justified.
Exactly. Ensuring air power is delivered with clarity, precision, and proportionality. For instance, their 36th Intelligence Squadron produces these integrated targeting materials. They fuse imagery, signals intel, human intel, measurement data, open source info, all to validate targets, assess potential collateral damage, and confirm strikes are lawful and militarily necessary.
And they work with special operations.
Yes, the 361st ISR group within the wing provides vital intel support directly to special operations forces. They integrate traditional intel with non-traditional stuff like commercial satellite imagery, mobile phone metadata, sociocultural analysis for really high-stakes missions. Plus, they provide critical threat awareness training for air crews against modern air defenses.
Okay, so we have active duty Air Force, but what about the Guard? I know the Virginia Air National Guard is there too, right? The 192nd Fighter Wing?
Absolutely. The 192nd Fighter Wing at JBLE is a prime example of the total force concept. They integrate very closely with the active duty units, particularly the 1st Fighter Wing.
How does that work?
They moved to Langley back in October 2007. And here's a key point. They are one of only 2 Air National Guard units in the entire country that operate the F-22 Raptor. The other one's in Hawaii.
Only 2 Guard units with Raptors. Wow.
Yeah. They operate under what's called a classic associate arrangement. This means personnel from the 192nd pilots, maintainers, support staff are fully integrated into the day-to-day operations, working side by side with the active duty 1st Fighter Wing, flying and fixing the same jets.
So they have a dual role then?
Exactly. They have a federal mission contributing to homeland defense, global air dominance alongside the active duty. But they also have a state mission ready to assist Virginia during natural disasters or other civil emergencies. It really showcases the value and versatility of the Guard.
Now, protecting all this capability, there must be internal security, counterintelligence.
Definitely. That brings us to the 2nd Field Investigations Region, or 2FIR. It's headquartered at JBLE, part of the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, AFOFAS. It's led by a colonel.
AFOSAS. Okay, so what makes their location at Langley so important?
It has exceptional strategic significance. 2FIR's area of responsibility aligns directly with major commands like Air Combat Command, right there at Langley, but also U.S. Central Command and U.S. Strategic Command. This puts them right at the nexus of current combat operations and global deterrence strategy.
So what kind of investigations do they handle?
It's incredibly diverse. They handle criminal investigations, serious felony offenses like homicide, sexual assault, drug trafficking, major financial crimes, fraud involving government contracts,
Okay.
but also crucial counterintelligence work, identifying and neutralizing espionage, sabotage, insider threats. They provide protective services for high-ranking officials, conduct security assessments for critical assets, and they're very active in the cyber domain, partnering with Air Force's cyber to investigate data breaches, network intrusions, and leading the Air Force's program to protect sensitive research and technology.
And their reach goes beyond Langley.
Oh, absolutely global. 2FIR has detachments forward deployed in the Middle East, places like Al Udeid in Qatar, Ali Al Salem in Kuwait, Al Dhafra in the UAE, and they have force protection detachments embedded in U.S. embassies in key locations like Jordan, Egypt, Colombia, Panama, Chile, Brazil, Israel, and even Curacao.
That's quite a footprint.
It is. And beyond these major wings and AFOSI, you have to remember, Langley hosts nearly 30 other tenant units. They're essential parts of the ecosystem, even if they report to different higher headquarters.
Tenant units? Like what?
All sorts of specialized functions. For example, the 735th Supply Chain Operations Group handles massive logistics. One of its squadrons, the 439th, supports supply chains for over 1,100 aircraft worldwide.
Wow.
You've got cyberspace units like the 83rd Network Operations Squadron defending IT systems, and the 96th Cyberspace Test Squadron evaluating new cyber defense tech. There's a flight testing unit, the 605th Test and Evaluation Squadron's detachment, doing advanced work on F-22 systems. There's even an Air Force Reserve unit, the 7th and 10th Combat Operations Squadron, that assists with planning large-scale air campaigns.
And things like leadership training.
Right, even Langley's Airman Leadership School, providing that essential professional military education for junior enlisted airmen, it's all part of this interconnected base. These tenant units, they really reinforce Langley's role as a strategic platform, providing that comprehensive support.
Okay, so we've really covered the air power side at Langley. Immense capability. But JBLE is Joint Base Langley Eustis. Let's shift focus to the Army side, Fort Eustis, over in Newport News. What's their main role in this picture?
Right, Fort Eustis is the U.S. Army's premier installation for transportation and logistics. And crucially, it's the headquarters for U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command, TRADOC. That's a 4-star command, absolutely vital. They develop the Army's future force structure, its doctrine, how it trains. TRADOC is literally shaping the Army of tomorrow.
Army transportation. And here's something that might surprise you, listener. Fort Eustis is the only Army installation focused on maritime logistics. And get this, it actually maintains more ships than the U.S. Navy if you're just counting the number of hulls.
That's right. Now, we're not talking aircraft carriers or destroyers here.
Yeah. No, mostly support vessels. Right?
Exactly. Primarily things like tugboats, landing craft, logistics support vessels, over 130 of them in total. They're operated by the 7th Transportation Brigade, Expeditionary, and their whole purpose is delivering supplies, equipment, humanitarian aid, especially into places that are austere or where ports have been damaged or denied.
And we saw this in action recently, didn't we?
We did. A really powerful example was in 2024. The 7th Transportation Brigade led the construction and operation of that joint logistics over the shore pier, the Jayla Chan's pier off the coast of Gaza, specifically for delivering humanitarian assistance, a unique Army capability.
Besides the ships, Fort Eustis is also big on helicopters, isn't it? Felker Army Airfield.
Yes, Felker Army Airfield is a major rotary wing hub. It actually opened back in 1954 as the first permanent military heliport. Today, it supports over 135,000 aircraft movements every year.
135,000? That's incredibly busy.
It makes it the 3rd busiest Army airfield anywhere, and one of the most strategically important Army aviation platforms. They support all kinds of helicopters, UH-60 Blackhawks, CH-47 Chinooks, AH-64 Apaches. Even Navy SH-60 Seahawks use it.
Navy Seahawks, too.
Yeah, naval aviation units use Felker for Seahawk pilot training. And what's truly remarkable, despite being in one of the most congested helicopter traffic areas, Felker has this pristine safety record. No major incidents reported since 1984.
That's impressive. And like Langley, Eustis also fosters international ties.
It does. Fort Eustis hosts about 17 foreign liaison officers from various NATO and allied nations. They work right there within TRADOC, contributing to doctrine development, ensuring interoperability. It helps keep everyone on the same page for coalition operations.
Okay, so we've seen Langley, we've seen Eustis. Now let's zoom out even further, because this isn't just about JBLE, is it? The whole Hampton Roads region is packed with strategic assets. How do they all connect?
That's the key point. It's an ecosystem. And right next door to Langley Air Force Base, literally sharing a footprint in Hampton, you have the NASA Langley Research Center.
NASA Langley, the oldest NASA field center, right? Goes back even further than the Air Force Base, 1917.
That's right. And its role in American aeronautics and space exploration is just immense. Think breakthroughs in flight dynamics, wind tunnel testing, supersonic flight, technologies for spacecraft re-entry, human factors.
It was huge for the early space programs, wasn't it? Mercury, Gemini, Apollo. I remember reading about their work on the Apollo lunar module design, the heat shields that kept astronauts safe coming home. And they're still involved now with the Artemis program going back to the moon.
Absolutely. But there's another layer to NASA Langley's story, a really powerful human one. That's the Hidden Figures legacy.
Ah, yes. The incredible true story of the African-American women mathematicians, Katherine Johnson, Mary Jackson, Dorothy Vaughan, who worked there at the West Area Computing Unit.
Exactly. These women made absolutely critical, verifiable contributions. They performed complex orbital calculations, trajectory analysis for the earliest space missions, including John Glenn's famous 1962 orbital flight. And they did this while overcoming really significant social and institutional barriers.
An amazing story of talent and perseverance.
It truly is. And NASA honors that legacy today. They even named their state-of-the-art computational research facility after Katherine G. Johnson. Beyond space, NASA Langley is also doing vital work today in atmospheric science, climate research using aircraft like the Global Hawk for hurricane studies, and pushing innovation in autonomous systems, AI for safety, and sustainable aviation.
Okay, so NASA's right there. Then, just across the water, you have Naval Station Norfolk. The scale there is just mind-boggling. It's the largest naval base in the world.
It really is enormous. Headquarters for United States Fleet Forces Command. You're talking 14 piers, 11 aircraft hangars, a major shipyard. It supports over 75 ships and 130 aircraft.
And that includes the big ones, the nuclear-powered aircraft carriers.
Oh, yes. Multiple carriers are often home port of their ships, like the USS Gerald R. Ford, the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, USS George H.W. Bush. They form the core of the Atlantic carrier strike groups.
So, incredible naval power projection. What else is based there?
You also have the headquarters for Submarine Forces Atlantic, Subland, and significantly, the headquarters for the Naval Special Warfare Development Group,
Which most people probably know as
SEAL Team 6. Its presence reflects Norfolk's central role in joint operations and highly sensitive maritime missions. The base supports a massive population, over 150,000 people, and serves as this huge logistics hub for global resupply and humanitarian aid efforts, too.
And you mentioned earlier how crucial its integration with Langley is, especially for joint surveillance, ISR, particularly in contested seas. They have to work closely together.
Constantly collaborating, essential for maritime security.
Okay, Navy, Air Force, Army, NASA. What about the Coast Guard? They must have a big presence, too, protecting the ports and coastline.
Absolutely. The United States Coast Guard sector, Hampton Roads, is located about 25 miles southeast of Langley, operating under the 5th Coast Guard District. Their job is safeguarding the maritime approaches to the Chesapeake Bay and the wider eastern seaboard.
What does that involve day to day?
A lot. They're responsible for maritime safety, security, environmental protection across nearly 5,000 miles of shoreline. Their units handle port security, vessel inspections, maritime law enforcement, responding to oil spills or chemical hazards, and of course, critical search and rescue operations.
And they support the Port of Virginia. That's a huge commercial port.
One of the largest and busiest on the East Coast. The Coast Guard's work is vital for ensuring the smooth and secure flow of global commerce through there.
And their history goes way back, too, doesn't it?
It does. Traces right back to the original revenue cutter service founded in 1790. And they have a long history in the region, including patrolling for German U-boats during World War II, carrying on the legacy of the old U.S. life-saving service.
All right, one more major piece of this puzzle, and it's an international one. NATO. Norfolk is a major hub for the alliance.
It is. Norfolk hosts two of NATO's most critical strategic commands, right there at Naval Support Activity Hampton Roads. This represents the highest level of NATO military presence on U.S. soil. You have Allied Command Transformations, or ACT,
ACT, okay.
and Joint Force Command Norfolk, JFC-NF.
So what do these commands do? Let's start with ACT.
Allied Command Transformation, ACT, was established in 2003. It's always led by a four-star officer, currently. Since September 2024, it's Admiral Pierre Vandier of the French Navy. ACT's job is to guide NATO's future thinking, developing warfighting concepts, overseeing training standards, driving capability development, and making sure military doctrine is harmonized across all the allies, which is now 32 member states as of 2025.
So looking ahead, keeping the alliance modern, what about JFC Norfolk?
Joint Force Command Norfolk, JFC-NF, is newer, activated in 2018. It's an operational headquarters, also led at the four-star equivalent level currently by U.S. Vice Admiral Doug Perry, heading a multinational team. Its specific task is protecting NATO's vital sea lines of communication across the Atlantic and up into the Arctic, ensuring forces and supplies can move freely, which is crucial for deterrence and defense.
And being right there in Norfolk, close to the U.S. Navy and Air Force HQs, that must make coordination much easier.
Absolutely seamless integration. They have regular coordination meetings, and they frequently participate in multinational training exercises that involve forces right from Langley, Norfolk, and Fort Eustis. It's global interoperability in action right there.
A real transatlantic hub.
Exactly. These commands really position the Hampton Roads region as a critical hub connecting North America and Europe embodying NATO's unity and resolve against today's strategic challenges, from the high north down through the Atlantic.
Wow. What a deep dive indeed. It really pulls it all together, doesn't it?
Uh,
Joint Base Langley Eustis and this whole surrounding Hampton Roads region. It's not just a collection of bases, it's this unparalleled nexus of military power, scientific innovation, international cooperation,
yeah,
a true cross section of American defense capabilities, from those historic aviation firsts we talked about, right up to cutting edge ISR, global logistics, NATO command.
yeah,
It's all there.
it really is. And,
Hmm.
thinking about this incredible density, all this advanced military capability, the intelligence operations, the aerospace research, all packed into one geographic area,
Mhm.
it kind of raises an important question, doesn't it?
Mm.
How does this concentrated synergy not only enhance national security right now, but how does it actually set the pace for future global innovation? For
Right.
strategic integration across all domains of power, air, land, sea, space, cyber. What truly stands out to you listening to all this as the most surprising connection or maybe the most significant takeaway from this incredibly powerful region?